Have you ever met someone who constantly blames others, avoids responsibility, and thrives on pity? In this video, we'll uncover the hidden psychology behind that mindset, reveal the shocking signs of victim mentality, and share powerful strategies to protect yourself from toxic patterns that drain your energy. Chapter 1: Why Some People Always Play the Victim. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to live in a constant state of crisis? No matter what happens, they find a way to position themselves as the one who has been wronged. It doesn't matter if the situation is small or big, they always end up being the victim. This pattern isn't random, it's deeply rooted in psychology. At the heart of this behavior is something called learned helplessness. Imagine a person who over time has faced repeated challenges or failures. Instead of learning to fight back or adapt, they begin to believe that nothing they do will change their circumstances. So, they stop trying. This mindset becomes a habit, and eventually, it turns into a way of life. Playing the victim becomes their default response to the world. But there's more to it than just helplessness. For some, the victim role is a way to gain attention. When someone constantly presents themselves as suffering, they often receive sympathy, comfort, or even protection from others. It's a powerful emotional currency. People may not realize it, but the victim role can be used as a tool to manipulate relationships. By appearing weak, they gain control. Childhood experiences often play a huge role here. A child who grows up in an environment where their feelings are ignored or dismissed may learn that the only way to be noticed is to exaggerate their pain. Over time, this becomes a survival strategy. As adults, they carry this pattern into friendships, workplaces, and romantic relationships. Another reason people cling to the victim role is fear. Taking responsibility for mistakes or failures can be terrifying. It means facing the possibility of being wrong, of being flawed, of not being perfect. By shifting blame onto others, they avoid this discomfort. It's easier to say, "I'm suffering because of you," than to admit, "I made a mistake." This mindset also feeds on self-pity. People who play the victim often repeat stories of how unfair life has been to them. They replay these narratives until they become part of their identity. The more they tell themselves they are powerless, the more powerless they feel. It's a cycle that reinforces itself. Now here's the tricky part. Not everyone who plays the victim is doing it consciously. Some genuinely believe they are always being wronged. Their perception of reality is shaped by years of negative thinking and emotional conditioning. To them, the world really does feel hostile, and they are always the target. Understanding this psychology is important because it helps us see the difference between someone who is truly struggling and someone who is stuck in a victim mindset. Recognizing the patterns allows us to respond with clarity instead of being pulled into endless drama. And if you're finding this breakdown helpful, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you'll stay connected to more insights like this, and it supports the creation of content that helps you understand human behavior in a deeper way. The victim mentality isn't just about one person's story. It's about how those stories affect everyone around them. When someone constantly plays the victim, it can drain relationships, create tension, and even block growth. That's why learning about this psychology matters. It's not just theory, it's something you'll see in everyday life. So, the next time you encounter someone who always seems to be suffering, pause and look closer. Ask yourself, is this genuine pain? Or is it a pattern of victimhood? That awareness alone can change how you respond. Chapter 2: Signs of a Victim Mentality You Should Know. When you meet someone who always plays the victim, it can feel confusing at first. They may seem genuinely hurt, but over time, patterns begin to emerge. These patterns are the signs of a victim mentality, and once you learn to recognize them, you'll start to see how consistent they are. One of the clearest signs is constant blame shifting. People with a victim mindset rarely take responsibility for their actions. If something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. They'll point fingers at friends, coworkers, or even strangers. This habit protects them from facing their own mistakes, but it also creates endless conflict. Another sign is living in self-epity. You'll notice they often repeat stories about how unfair life has been to them. They talk about being overlooked, mistreated, or unlucky. These stories aren't just occasional complaints, they become a central part of their identity. The more they tell these stories, the more they believe them, and the cycle continues. Victim mentality also shows up in emotional manipulation. Some people use guilt to control others. They might say things like, "If you really cared, you wouldn't treat me this way," or "Nobody ever helps me." These statements are designed to make you feel responsible for their emotions. It's a subtle but powerful way of keeping others tied to their drama. You'll often see exaggeration of problems. A small inconvenience becomes a major crisis. A minor disagreement turns into proof that the world is against them. This exaggeration keeps attention focused on them and reinforces their belief that they are always suffering more than anyone else. Another sign is avoidance of responsibility. People with this mindset struggle to admit when they're wrong. They avoid accountability by shifting the focus elsewhere. If they miss a deadline, it's because someone didn't remind them. If they hurt someone's feelings, it's because the other person was too sensitive. Responsibility feels threatening, so they dodge it at all costs. Victim mentality also thrives on negative thinking. These individuals often expect the worst. They assume people will betray them, situations will fail, and life will continue to be unfair. This pessimism becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. By expecting negativity, they often create it. Another subtle sign is seeking sympathy more than solutions. When faced with a problem, they don't look for ways to fix it. Instead, they look for people who will comfort them. Solutions aren't the goal, attention is. This keeps them stuck in the same problems because solving them would mean losing the sympathy they rely on. You may also notice patterns of drama in relationships. People with a victim mindset often attract or create conflict. They may accuse others of betrayal, claim they're being ignored, or insist they're always misunderstood. These dramas keep them at the center of attention, even if the attention is negative. Finally, there's resistance to change. Even when offered help or advice, they often reject it. Change means stepping out of the victim role, and that can feel terrifying. The victim identity has become familiar, even comfortable, so they cling to it. Recognizing these signs doesn't mean you should judge or condemn someone. It means you can see the patterns clearly and protect yourself from being pulled into them. Awareness is the first step to responding wisely. When you notice these behaviors, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is this person truly in need, or are they repeating a cycle of victimhood? That distinction can save you from endless frustration and help you keep your own energy intact. Chapter 3: How to deal with people who play the victim. When you encounter someone who constantly plays the victim, it can feel draining. Their stories of unfairness, their refusal to take responsibility, and their endless need for sympathy can pull you into a cycle that leaves you exhausted. The good news is that there are ways to deal with this behavior without losing your own balance. The first step is recognition. You need to see the pattern clearly. When someone always blames others, exaggerates their suffering, or avoids responsibility, pause and notice it. Awareness is powerful because it allows you to separate their narrative from reality. Instead of being swept into their drama, you can stand outside it and observe. Once you recognize the pattern, the next step is setting boundaries. People who play the victim often rely on others to carry their emotional weight. They may expect you to comfort them endlessly or solve their problems for them. Boundaries protect you from being drained. This can mean limiting how much time you spend listening to their complaints or gently refusing to take responsibility for issues that aren't yours. Boundaries aren't about being harsh, they're about protecting your energy. Another important strategy is responding with empathy but not enabling. It's natural to feel compassion when someone is suffering. But compassion doesn't mean you have to feed the cycle. Instead of offering endless sympathy, try shifting the focus towards solutions. For example, if they complain about being mistreated at work, you can acknowledge their feelings, but also ask, what steps can you take to change this? This way, you show care without reinforcing helplessness. It's also helpful to avoid getting pulled into guilt traps. People with a victim mentality may use guilt to keep you involved. They might say things like, if you cared, you'd help me, or nobody ever supports me. These statements are designed to make you feel responsible for their emotions. When you hear them, remind yourself that their feelings are their own. You can care without carrying their burden. Another approach is encouraging responsibility. This doesn't mean lecturing or criticizing. It means gently guiding them toward owning their choices. You might say, I understand this is hard, but what part of this situation can you control? By asking questions like this, you help them see that they aren't powerless. Even small steps toward responsibility can break the cycle of victimhood. Sometimes, the best way to deal with a victim mentality is creating distance. If someone refuses to change and continues to drain your energy, you may need to step back. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're protecting yourself. Distance can be physical, like spending less time with them, or emotional, like not engaging deeply in their stories. It's also important to stay grounded in your own reality. Victim mentality thrives on pulling others into distorted narratives. If you're not careful, you may start to believe their version of events. Keep checking in with yourself. Ask, is this really my responsibility? Is this situation as dramatic as they make it sound? Staying grounded helps you avoid being manipulated. Finally, remember that change is possible, but not guaranteed. Some people cling to the victim role because it feels safe and familiar. Others may eventually realize the damage it causes and choose to grow. Your role isn't to fix them, it's to protect yourself and respond wisely. If they change, that's wonderful. If they don't, you'll still have preserved your own strength. Dealing with people who play the victim requires patience, clarity, and self-respect. It's about balancing empathy with boundaries, compassion with responsibility. When you learn to navigate these interactions, you free yourself from the cycle of drama and protect your energy for the things that truly matter.